Howdy ho, howdy ho. How are we all doing? So back out here in the nice fresh air. It's not as hot as it has been. It's probably like 90 degrees right now. But it's kind of getting a little cooler. Over the past couple of days, I just figured, screw it, I will do the videos inside. I guess one day it was raining. And then yesterday I was just like, screw it, I don't want to do the videos inside, so I did the videos inside. And that's the kind of thing that you can do when you are your own boss. You just say, screw it. This is what I'm gonna do. But we're back out here, because I like the lighting a lot better. There really is something about like natural sunlight. It just lights you in just such a prettier fashion. But anyways, was yesterday the one where I went on for like 2.5 hours? Seems like I've been talking a lot lately. So we're gonna try to get these down. We're gonna try to make sure that these videos really don't go too much over the 2-hour mark. My whole point here, the whole plan is to hit the 2-hour mark, but not really to go over. So I've had a lot of people say, why don't you tape a 2-hour video and then chop it into 2 parts and do 1 hour per day or something? And then I sit there and go, well, that wouldn't make any sense if I'm trying to do a 2-hour daily video. It's so funny. People are like, you could do this other thing. And it's like, well, I could, but that's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is a 2-hour daily video. Because I really need something to do in life. Again, like I say, if you're a content creator and you're good at being a content creator, it's a pretty easy life. And one of the problems you get into with business, especially once you start making money, is you can actually end up starting to get really, really fucking bored. Because again, like let's say I did a 30-minute video every day, right? People say, hey, Eli, you could just do a 30-minute video every day. But, I mean, you figure maybe 30 minutes of prep time. Then I tape a 30-minute video. Then I, upload it, do a description or whatever, and that takes like an hour and a half. And that's like my job. Kind of reminds me, like back, I had a consulting gig, or I had a contracting gig, and I worked for this really cool company, and they did a lot of cool stuff. This was back in the day. This was when 802.11b was like bleeding edge, right? But anyways, and I worked for the company, all this cool stuff. And then one of the reasons I left was because I literally worked like 1 hour a day. Like literally, I was literally outside the global vice president for IT. It was actually a global company. I was right outside of his office. I reported to him, and most of the time I was like sitting on whatever the hell the version of Google was at the time. And it really did kind of suck. It's like I was getting paid well. It was a cool company. I loved everybody there. But you kind of want work to do. Again, there's this weird thing, like people have this idea that like work is this thing that you just have to do, and that like somehow your life would be so much better if you didn't have to do work. When in reality what you find out is that work is something that you just do because you are human. Work is something that you do in order to give to society. So when you don't have to work, you actually go a little nutty. Like that's what I found. Like for me, because again, being a consultant, you make money and then you go off and play or whatever. One of the reasons I like doing Fail Normal is, even though this isn't a lot of work, it's work. Because like with me, like when I go off, I'll go off to like fancy places or whatever, and you sit there for like 2 weeks, drinking Mai Tais and sitting on the beach and getting tan and all that kind of stuff. And let me tell you, all the way up until about the 14-day mark, I'm a pretty good guy. I'm a pretty good guy. I go out there, have fun, I walk around, do all the kind of vacation-y stuff. Man, I hit the 15-day mark and I become a colossal asshole. I don't know what it is. It's like you wait until the clock hits midnight. Man, once you get on to day 15, I just become a bastard. Just because I need something to do in life. And this is one of the things that I've learned. So yeah, I need work to do. So again, that's why I do the 2-hour talk show. Yes, I could do 30 minutes a day. I could. But then there's more to doing work than with the minimum that's required, right? Because again, I'm still making money off of Eli the Computer Guy. Motherfucker, I could phone that shit in. I could do 1 hour-long video per week, and I bet you I could be milking that damn thing for the next few years. But then again, it sounds cool. It sounds exciting to work a few hours a week. But at the end of the day, you go a little stir crazy, right? I remember that with one of the people in the startup community here. He was creating some kind of new startup company. And I ran into a friend of mine. Holy shit. Fish. I ran into a friend of mine and was talking about how nobody in that startup company worked harder than the founder. And so the founder, would go around, work like 15 hours a day, the whole 9 yards. And then I remember talking to my friend. I was like, but wait a minute, didn't he already cash out of a startup? Didn't he already get bought out of a startup? And it was like, oh yeah, he's worth like $500 million. And then you sit there and you just pause for a second. And you're like, wait a minute. So somebody that's already worth $500 million, not fake money, not pie in the sky, utopia, unicorn money, like actually $500 million in some type of liquidable assets. And he's still working 15 hours a day. It's like, yeah, well, And that's one of the things I think a lot of people don't realize about successful people, is the reason that they're successful, the reason that they keep getting successful, is that they keep working even when they don't necessarily have to. And, you get to that $1 million mark, and then you get to more and more and more. I remember I ran into a guy who was talking about that, the old guy. I talk about it every once in a while. One of those people in my life, way back when, and he was talking about that because the old guy, he had been very wealthy when he was young, very wealthy, hung out with all the exceedingly wealthy people. Like literally, he had a picture of him in front of his like Learjet back in the days when like if he wanted to fly down to Los Angeles for like dinner, like he did, like that kind of money. He did not have that kind of money when I met him, which was an entirely different life story. But anyways, he was talking about these two sisters that he knew. And when their family died, or whatever, mother died, they were left $75 million. And this was back in the day, this was like in the 1980s. And so he was talking about how they then went into the oil business. And by whatever that point was, they were worth like $2 or $3 billion. And I looked at him, I was like, well, why... if they were left $75 million, again, in the 1980s, you look at inflation, $75 million then is worth more than it would be now. It's like, well, why did they go through all that? Why did they do that? And he was kind of like, why not? It's kind of like that thing. Like, if you have $75 million, try to get $175 million. If you have $175 million, try to get $500 million. But again, I think that's one of the things, like a lot of like unsuccessful people don't understand, is that successful people just keep working every day, regardless. Yes, I could do a 15-minute video every day and probably be fine. Do a 30-minute video every day, could be fine. Again, Eli the computer guy, I could milk that shit for 3 years. But again, the problem is then, how is that interesting? How is that fun? I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm working on failnormal.com right now. Bathroom reading for geeks. I don't know if that thing is going to bring me money. I mean, I assume it will. Well, be careful of assuming. If you assume, it makes an ass of you and me. I don't mind making an ass of you. I do mind making an ass of me. But anyways, it's a good thought that it'll probably make money. But again, one of the bigger reasons that I'm doing it is just for something extra to do. Again, I like a good 4 hours of work a day. I don't believe in this whole 8-hour workday thing. I don't believe in 12 hours a day. But I think a good 4 hours of work, it's kind of just good for your soul. It's good for your soul. I believe in the 20-hour work week. So again, as he who shall not be named was asking me that about like why I was doing failnormal.com, the whole, bathroom reading for geeks. And basically, that's one of the hard things to explain. Is it's kind of like, like I say, financially I'm fine. I can fund failnormal.com infinitum without it really mattering to me. It's another thing I can do. It's just another activity. Some people do martial arts, as I've done, or some people kayak. But that's the thing. It's like, how much martial arts do you want to do? How much kayaking do you want to do? How much rock climbing do you want to do? How much hiking do you want to do? I mean, I like my hiking. You all know I like my hiking. But holy crap, like how much hiking do you really want to do? Some days you just want to sit down and relax and do some nice office work. You know what I'm saying? You're not allowed to say that kind of stuff anymore. You're not, again, like we so, like this whole 99%ers versus 1%er world. There's so much just hate and anger and all that kind of stuff towards business owners and decision makers and all that kind of thing. But what a lot of people don't realize is that so many of the business owners and decision makers, I mean, they're just kind of putzing along, doing their thing, because they don't really know what else to do. And again, the one thing that I like with failnormal.com is that it allows me to give back, put back into society. Because again, I've been parts of nonprofit organizations. I've given money to nonprofit organizations. I've done a lot of stuff that's supposed to help people. But I find so many times you don't really help people. Again, it's kind of like with college degree. It's like getting a piece of paper without any value. It's like, yeah, you volunteered for 10 hours this week, but did anybody actually get fed because of what you did? Did anybody actually get help? Again, you giving your time does not necessarily equal anybody being helped. You giving your money doesn't necessarily equal anybody getting help. When I've dealt with so many of these nonprofit organizations and such, and again, they're just a fucking waste. And so one of the things I like with Fail Normal is, even though right now I'm only, paying $5 or what per post, I mean, that's actually putting something out into the world, right? If you're not making $5 an hour, $10 an hour right now, I can hire you, or I can pay people to do this, and that actually gets them doing something, and that means that they're actually getting cash, and it gets the cycle going, right? Because I think that's one of the big problems right now with so much of the economics and our system with capitalism is so much has just frozen up, so much has just locked up, and people don't know how to get out of it. And as I say, it's kind of like one of those things. It's one of those action things. You get people moving, no matter how slowly. And as once they start moving, then they'll move a little faster, move a little faster, move a little faster, move a little faster. Again, as I say, if I hire 1099 somebody for writing for failnormal.com, I'm not saying that they're gonna be able to fund their pension fund off of it. I'm not saying they're even gonna be able to pay for health insurance. But at least they're getting something. They can now say, I am a writer for failnormal.com. And then when they go for another job, which hopefully actually has benefits and 401k and all that kind of stuff, they can say, I am currently a writer for failnormal.com, and I would like to move up in the world. And it's easier to go from I am a writer for failnormal.com to a job versus I am nothing. I am doing nothing of value in society, and now I try to get a job. So that's kind of one of my thoughts there. Not sure I've been going with any of that. I just trotting along. So what have we been doing today? So Fail Normal, again, been working on Fail Normal. Fail Normal looks like it's going pretty well. The website is holding up. Using a nice, like I say, basic WordPress site, basic theme, whole 9 yards, shut off comments. I do have to say, that's one thing to really think about, like with whatever business you're going to be doing, is think about what requires time, effort, energy, liability, and then ask yourself if you really need it, right? Because that's one of the big things with like the whole commenting system anymore, right? Is so many users, so many trolls, believe that commenting on a website is a right. This is your First Amendment right. And so many website owners kind of believe that. Like, oh, we have to have commenting on websites. But then when you have commenting on websites, you have so many issues that go along with it. You have hacking issues, so things like SQL injection. So if you don't know what this type of thing, you can actually try to write code into the commenting submission section to try to gain access to the back end. So you have that problem. So you have people actually trying to hack the website. Then you have people actually trying to hack each other. Right? Then you have like how to deal with trolls and how to deal with moderation. And you get all of these issues. You get all these issues whenever you have a comment section. And basically it's just if you have a comment section, these are the issues you can run into. And so few, I think, blog owners or website owners really ask themselves, do you really need a comment section? Like, what is the actual value of a comment section? So if I'm doing toilet reading for geeks, bathroom reading for geeks, do I really need people commenting on it? Like, are you really going to be commenting while you're on the toilet? Ew. Actually, I'm not really sure how that's worse than reading on the toilet. But it's kind of like one of those things. This isn't supposed to be discussion, because then you get discussion, then you get emotions, then you get feeling. This is just bathroom reading for geeks. So again, totally shutting off the comment system. And I have to say, like, as a website owner, and for any other tech people out there, this is one of those things to think about. Oh my golly, you shut off the comment system. 0 comments whatsoever. And it's amazing how much easier your life gets with one of these systems. You're like, holy crap. That means like 50% of my work went away for basically a service that I didn't care about to begin with. Yay. So anyways, that's been trucking along. So my Fivers. So currently I'm using Fiverr in order to get writers for not for Geek Brain Dump. Just transfer Geek Brain Dump over to Martin Lehner. He is now completely owner of geekbraindump.com. Anyways, that's a different story. I've been using Fivers in order to get writers for for failnormal.com. So I have used Fiverr in the past for content creation, for geekbraindump.com and for other things. And the big problem I found in the past, and this is one of those lessons learned, is that I actually found Fiverr.com to be very good for content creation. The problem is I didn't really know what to do with it. It wasn't that the posts created by the Fivers were bad. I just didn't have a good enough plan for how to use it. So when I used it on Geek Brain Dump and when I used it on Eli the Computer Guy, it was a bit of a mess. Nothing to do with Fiverr or the writers of Fiverr. Everything to do with my plan for it. So this time, I'm getting more of a plan. So I've put out my orders on Fiverr.com, and I've started getting those orders in. And it is interesting to see as the orders come in. And this is one of those things about why you should be slow with how you start stuff, because there's so many little decisions to make that you don't really think about, right? Again, when you start laser focusing on your niche, you start to realize weird issues that come up that you probably didn't realize before, right? And that's the big thing, right? There's this whole idea of you have all these plans in your head about what you're going to do, and then you actually put a product out to market and you realize nobody wants what you want, or it doesn't work, right? And so that's one of the things to think about. So with me, again, my wife may cringe every time she hears me say it, but it really is. This is bathroom reading for geeks. This is crapper reading for geeks. So I want to get laser focused on crapper reading for geeks. So when I think about crapper reading for geeks or bathroom reading for geeks, I start to have to think about, okay, what does that really mean? What does that really mean? So essentially, again, so this is whether you're in the bathroom, whether you're standing in line for the bank or an ATM machine. Basically, it's all that weird downtime. You know, you have weird down. Again, that's a whole bathroom thing. You got the constipation going on. You're not really sure when it's going to pop out. You just know you're kind of stuck on the toilet for the next, however many minutes. And so you pull out your smartphone and, well, might as well do something while my body figures it out. And so I think about that. And so what does that actually mean? And so that's one of the things I'm figuring out with the creator, the content being created by the Fivers. And so the idea is I want short. But again, you say short posts. What does short mean? Like, again, and this is where I talk about this whole Socratic method thing. People say words, and they think those words mean something. Eli, we are going to write short blog posts. But what does a short blog post mean? Is a short blog post 200 words? Is a short blog post 1,000 words? If I have an idea of what short is, and you have an idea of what short is, what is short? And then what I want is focused. So focused. Basically, I want to answer a single question. Because again, basically, if it's toilet reading, I want you to pull it out, and when you go, that's interesting, click, and then I want you to learn about what is Europol IRU. That's actually something the Internet Response Unit. Did you know Europol had an Internet Response Unit? Do you know there was a Europol? Right, that's the entire point. You're a geek. You should know the Europol IRU. So you can walk into your CEO and go, well, CEO. We're building this website and everything, but we have to make sure it's all copacetic with Europol IRU. They're like, Europol? And you're like, well, we are a global company, and therefore, as a global company, you don't want to get in trouble with European law enforcement. No, I am so thankful. I'm so thankful we have a geek like you. I would have never thought about Europol. That's why we hired you. But anyway, so what the fuck is Europol? Click. Again, Europol does, right? So the idea is it's very specific. And that's the thing. So going along today, so I put out like 10 orders on Fiverr and started to get the stuff back. And by starting to get the stuff back, you start to see issues that you didn't think about before. So like the first post, I asked for a post on quantitative easing. And so whenever you ask for posts on Fiverr, like the standard number of words is 500 words. So I figured the problem will be getting up to 500 words. Well, it was interesting. So the first post I got back was 700 words. And again, this is one of those things you don't think about as a boss or as an owner or when you're asking for work, is you always think about people trying to shortchange you. You don't really think about what if they do more than you want them to do. And so 700 words, the problem is I look at the 700 words, and in order for them to make it 700 words, it became very wordy. There's a lot of extra words thrown in there that didn't necessarily be in there. And then at 700 words, I could really see how it was too long. This is not proper crapper reading. 700 words is too long while you're taking a crap. right? You want, basically, like when you're sitting there and you're reading the post and you feel you're squishing out the last bit. You know what I'm saying? Like there's that thing, and then you can feel that chunk as it's about to go out of your system. You should, from that point that you're feeling it, be able to finish the article entirely, close your phone, throw it in your pocket, wipe your ass, and go out. And again, you folks think again, this is what sends my wife up the wall, because she doesn't realize, motherfucker, I am analytically looking at the poop process. I am looking at this isn't just a buzzword here. This isn't just a buzzword about toilet reading. I am thinking about the full bathroom experience. And so that's one of the things, is like, I want the post to be short enough that when you click on it and you're reading it, as you feel that you are finishing the process, you can finish that post, close it up, and you don't feel like you're in the middle of anything. You can close it up, you can wash your hands, and you can go. Because that's the problem, right? You have one of these like long posts, 1,000 posts, and you get done, and then you're still reading, and you wipe your ass, and then you got to wash your hands. And you're like, but I'm not finished with the post. But I've got to wash my hands. And so there's no like good answer there. You either don't wash your hands, or you put it down and you do wash your hands, but then it's kind of like wet, right? Got to think about this. And again, I know this sounds really funny, because it is, but this is the type of thing that you have to be thinking about with your business. How do you plan your content to be consumed? Again, whether it is you feel that final part getting pushed out your butt, and so you can just finish, or let's say you're waiting in line and you're sitting there and you're reading, and then they ding and they're ready for you, and you walk. So again, as you walk that 3 seconds, you can finish it up and put it in, right? So I'm looking at it. So this person gives you 700 words. And so what I realized there is that simply, and it's not a big deal, but again, it's rules. You got to come up with rules. So basically, I have to tell, whenever I hire Fiverr people, an absolute maximum of 500 words, right? And so I'm looking at the post, and again, this post isn't perfect. Post isn't exactly what I want. But again, this is one thing you have to think about as a business person, is, are you really going to quibble over stupid shit? Are you really going to micromanage? Are you really going to quibble over certain stupid shit? Because again, whether it's employees or whether it's your vendors, you're going to go back to them again and 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 again. So the question you have to ask yourself is, do I want to correct this person on this piece of work? Or do I just want to pay them for this piece of work, and then on the next set of work, give them more specific criteria? And so for me, especially Fiverr, it cost me $5.50 for the post. Fuck it. I accept it. I give them 5 stars, and then I send 2 more jobs to that person. But there, I specify max of 500 words. Right? And again, these are the kinds of things you think about. And again, especially as a new business owner, do you really want to quibble over everything? Like, is it close enough to be happy with? Is it close enough, especially if you're going to go back again and again and again to somebody? Is what they give you good enough so that you can just simply say, I'll accept this time. Next time, I'll give you some different changes, right? So that's the first one that went through. And then the next one I got, and again, this is the weird thing you get, especially like with Fiverr, or like if you have any employee, where it's technically correct. It's technically correct, but it just doesn't work at all. So I got this 500-word post from, so I wanted to post whether they harvest organs for organ transplants while people are still alive. So there's this whole quibble, like with retinas or whatever. The idea that the blood is still flowing, like you're brain dead, but they harvest, right? So this person gives me a 500-word post, and it's all spelled correctly, and it all uses the right grammar, and there's paragraphs and sentences in there, and it all revolves around organ transplants, but it literally made 0 sense at all. Like, I'm just sitting there, I'm reading it once, and then I'm reading it twice. And so again, that's one of the things. I don't want to write for failnormal.com. Again, for failnormal.com, I want to be the business person. Other people do the work, right? So I don't want to write for it, but again, at a certain point, you don't want to get too finicky in what you will and won't do. I will do some editing, right? If I get a post back from somebody, and it's 95% there. I'll go back and do the editing. There's no reason to send it back to them, and right, whatever. So I just sit there, and I'm like reading this 500-word post again, and I swear to God, I read this thing like 10 times, and every time I got to the end of it, it was like, I don't understand. I mean, yes, they're sentences, and all the sentences are correct, and yes, it is English, but the damn thing... Fish. But the damn thing doesn't make any sense. It's just like, there is something here that absolutely makes no sense at all. And so with them, there's this whole thing you can go, you can say for corrections or whatever. So I went back to that person and said, you know, again, you don't want to get into arguments, especially for $5, you know, especially if they're cheap people. You don't want to get into stupid arguments with people. So basically, I went back to that person and said, look, I can't use this. It's technically correct, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't read well. Like I say, I'm not even sure how to explain how it doesn't read well. It just doesn't read well. So I said, you know, either it can be modified, or, again, this is what I said, I will pay you. But again, this is one of those, like, because everybody says you have to be submissive, right? It's either authoritarian or submissive. And as I always say, you just lay it on the table. So again, I don't want to get into any bitch fest with anybody, especially over $5.50. So basically what I told the person is, I can't use this as it is. If you can modify it, that would be great. If not, I will pay you, but I cannot publish this on my site. And so that then came back, and the person said that they just wanted the order canceled. They didn't even want to try to modify it. So I was like, okay, I get my $5 back. Yay! And then the next person came through, and they did a good post, and they did 504 words. Damn, that came on the line. But again, and that's one thing to look at that, and that's written well, and it all makes sense. But again, then I start looking at it, because before we talked about how, because I wanted max of 500 words, and that other person came in at 700 words. And so at 700 words, it just got too wordy. Kind of got into the whole guys thing. Guys! They weren't guys, but kind of that thing, a little too playful, a little too extra words. Right, again, come on, man. We're here for pooping and reading, dude. We don't need to be personal here. We don't need to be personal. And so this person did the 504 word again. All came out really good. But even there, what I noticed is even at 504 words, so this person didn't give a lot of the extraneous, that friendly shit. Took all that out. But then, in order to get to the 504 word mark, he had to put in like 2 concepts. So basically it was progressivism. So what is progressivism? And so basically in order to get that 504 word mark, there was like the first part of progressivism and then like progressivism in the United States. It actually came into like 2 different parts. And they look at that and go, see, that's a problem. You have 500 words. And this is what if you just want an answer to a question, even 500 words is too long. So basically now going into the future, I'll be telling people to try to target like 300 words. And I think trying to target 300 words will be like the exact, because it'll be like, basically that's what I want. Here's the question, here's the answer to the question. Boom, right? But the big important thing to understand here, and this is why you need money to play with whatever venture that you're going to be doing, is you have an idea of the product in your head. And then so many times when you actually get the finished product, it just doesn't work. Again, it's not that the person who produced it for you didn't do a good job. It's not that it's not to the specifications. It's just you realize once you have the product in your hand that your specifications are wrong. Again, like I say, looking at this 504 word post, and I just realized 500 words is just too long. If I tell these people 500 words, it's going to be diarrhea of the mouth, right? That's what you don't want in the bathroom. So I think going for the 300 word, that'll be the way to go. So we'll see how that goes. But again, this is the whole process, and that's what you have to understand about business. Again, it's that whole process is figuring out the workflow, and then the idea is once you have all this set in stone, and then you just grind. So once I can get all this set in stone, 300 word post, this is exactly how it is done. I get my little thing of writers or whatever, and then from that point forward, you just grind through and you put out, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of posts. So hopefully, actually, I'm liking this though. And that is one thing. Like, there's this whole idea, I've talked about this before, with industry expertise. And, whenever you think about industry expertise, especially for a startup company, again, I believe in being a normal professional, right? So I know a lot of entrepreneurs that were in the construction industry. They go work for a very successful construction company for 3 to 5 years. Then they leave with all the knowledge that they learned there to go build their own construction company. So they actually understand how construction company works. One of the things in the startup world is you don't necessarily have to be a professional in something to be like an industry expert. Like for me, I consume a lot of different types of content just on a day-to-day basis. Again, I am a reader. I got the very first Kindle like the first month it came out. I've had, what am I on, 3 or 4 Kindles at this point? Right, I do the Kindles, I get The Economist, I get the Wall Street Journal, I read books, I read blogs, back when TechCrunch and Pando Daily were actually worth a damn. I use YouTube, I use Netflix, I use Hulu, right? So I consume all of this content. And so I know what content works, and I know what content doesn't work, and I also know why it doesn't work. Like, one of the things I like with the Wall Street Journal and all that kind of stuff is the Wall Street Journal or The Economist is it's written very well, but you have to sit there and you have to read it. Like I say, an Economist post is like damn near a chapter, right? So it's very long and very in-depth. So it's a problem. It's very long. Then again, like I say, I sit there and I look at TechCrunch. And TechCrunch, again, I mean, the big problem is you have all these 22-year-olds spouting their opinion on economic models. Well, the reason that the C round or whatever, they go on this whole thing. It's like, shut up, you're 23, right? And so I know, it's like, okay, the problem with this is you have a lot of idiots throwing opinions in. So again, it's like fail normal. There's not really going to be opinions. He just hears the information. And I think that's one of those things that you have to think about, like, as that industry expertise is again, as you're doing startup, it's not necessarily that you're professional at it. It's that you have a lot of experience in that area. You have enough experience in that area to know what works, to know what doesn't work, and to know what gap is not being filled. Like in the questions or the comments or whatever, somebody was saying, for my poop reading, they read Y Combinator. So Y Combinator is an accelerator, like one of the Uber accelerators, like the Harvard of accelerators. And they have like Y Combinator news.Y Combinator, Y Combinator.news, I don't know, whatever the hell it is. But they have the thing. But again, so it's like, this is what I use for poop reading. But that's what I look at it. And if you look at news at Y Combinator, the issue is everything is outgoing links. So you click on something, and then it opens up to a different website. So the problem is it's slow. The problem is you don't know like what information you're actually getting. One thing might be the MIT review. The next thing might be TechCrunch. There's no quality. It's just a link, but it's just a list of links. It's like, again, like I say, when I'm pooping, I want to click and know it pops up, right? If I have a 300-word post, and this is on a server with a solid-state drive, the whole 9 yards, you click on that link, and a millisecond later, you're going to be reading. Whereas if you have outbound links to different websites, you have no idea what the quality of those websites are. You have no idea the quality of the material of the websites. You have no idea what the posts are. Like an MIT review post, maybe 2,000 words, and some other post might be 300 words. So again, that's with industry expertise. It's the idea that you know the industry that you're going into. You have experience with it one way or another. Again, like you look at Mark Zuckerberg, and you're like, well, he was 22 or 21 or 19 or whatever the hell he was. What was his expertise? But that was the thing. His expertise was being a young bastard, right? He was a young kid, college kid, communicating with his friends. So he was an industry expert in being a college kid communicating with his friends. Again, like I say, for me, I have no expertise. Again, it's me, the fish, my wife, bedtime tea anymore, right? You do not want me trying to create a communication tool. I just don't know enough about people anymore. I just don't. Like, Eli, what do you need to communicate with people in a more effective manner? It's like, well, if you take my smartphone and you hit it with a hammer, I think I would like people a lot better after that. Like, what? Again, like, I'm actually closing things down. Like, I finally, I permanently closed my Facebook account. No Facebook account anymore. I permanently closed my LinkedIn account. No LinkedIn account anymore. Again, like I say, I talked to one person. Like I say, my wife and my father on my phone. That is it. I pay $40 fucking a month for a cell phone line, so I can like talk to my dad. Like, that is the most expensive call. It's like, Dad, you don't get any Father's Day present. What is that? Because I spend $40 frickin' a month on my frickin' telephone line, literally to call you. He's the only one I talk to on the phone. I swear to you. So like I say, talking to me about communication. No, but again, like I say, a young kid, right? And so that's the thing, is like, if you're an 18-year-old, and that's a big thing to think about, like, if you're an 18-year-old and you're thinking about a startup company, think about what you know. And again, you 18-year-olds know more than they think they know. The problem you run into with like kids or young people is they start trying to swim. You know what I'm saying? They try to start acting like they're more than they are, and then that runs into, like I say, all kinds of problems. Again, but if you understand communication, if you understand events, if you understand, I don't know what the hell millennials are doing anymore. You know, fucking like, you know, furries. We're a furry sex version of Tinder. And again, I don't get furries. Is furries millennial? I think furries is the young folks. So like, let's say you're a furry, right? You know, you dress up as animals and then have sex. Whatever. Okay, sure. Hey, it's all consenting adults. God bless. Right? I don't grasp furry sex. I don't. Seems a little messy to me. It just seems a little overcomplicated. Not really sure, like, you know. So I am not one to create an app to improve the furry sex experience. But you know, if you're all into the whole furry thing, that might be the way to go. Again, like, I don't know how it is now in San Francisco, but like back in the day, back in the .com era, I remember talking with some friends of mine in San Francisco, where the whole, I guess it wasn't called wife swapping at that point, swingers. Like back then, I don't know how it is now. Like back there, like swing parties were like the big deal, right? And so like I had a friend of mine, and she talked about going to this party with this guy, had no idea what the hell she was walking into. Until like literally, she walked into like this garage or this room or whatever, and there were like 10 mattresses on the floor. And she just... There's that moment in life when you're like, yeah, I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure what's going. But you know what? 10 mattresses on the floor. I'm just gonna go now. Right. But again, apparently back then, like, swinging was like the thing. Like, there were swing parties, not swing dancing, not that kind of stuff. But yeah. And so, right, if you're in that community, I don't know, maybe you need an app to get more swingers swinging. Use protection. That's all I'm saying. Right? That's not my type of thing. But you know, if that's what you understand, if that's what you know, then whatever. You know, like LARPing, live action role playing games. If that's still going around, that's a thing. Like that's where so many of the kids get all confused, is they start going for all this stuff that they don't understand. But I would argue with everybody, focus on what you know. Focus on what you're already willing to spend money for, right? Again, like I say, I spend $15, $20 a month on The Economist. I spend $15, $20 a month on the Wall Street Journal. And I wouldn't think about canceling those subscriptions at $30, $40 per month. Yeah, of course, because I know it's valuable. I know those are also successful companies. And so again, that's where, like I say, trying to do this content thing, I know there's money there. I know there's need for it. And so however much my wife may question me or anybody else may question me, it's not stupid confidence. It's not faith. It's knowing that it's valuable and then just figuring out how to produce a product and that'll be valuable, right? So I think that's to be thinking about. Industry expertise and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's been yabbering away for about 40 minutes, but it's good. You folks get to see basically how a business gets started, and we'll see how it goes. Again, I like this Because again, like, there's no... Because, you know, he who shall not be named, he was asking that, like, oh, you know, why will this succeed when so many of your other ventures didn't succeed? And I think with this, I think the difference is there's no psychic load with failnormal.com. And I think that's one thing, like a lot of people don't realize. I want to do a video on this. It's oppression of the fucked, or tyranny of the fucked. And you may say, that sounds weird, Eli, but if they're fucked, how can there be a tyranny? But there really is, like in this modern world, it's like the tyranny of the 99%, where you have all these people, and they're all screwed, and they've all bought all of these lies. They bought the lie of getting a college, of going into debt for a college degree. They bought the lie of buying a house. They bought the lie that if you do military service, you'll be taken care of afterward. Oh my God, they've just bought in so many lies, and they're so screwed. And so then I get so many comments and so many questions and so many demands. You don't know how many demands I get from people. Like people who email me again and again and again, and I'll get 10 emails from these bastards. And then when I don't respond, they'll be like, you fucking piece of shit, I can't believe you're not... I'm like, what the hell? I'm offering you free stuff and you're losing your mind. But again, I think that's a thing, like with all the Eli the Computer Guy stuff and all the stuff that I've done in that genre, whether it was Eli the Computer Guy, whether it was the community, whether it was geekbraindump.com, even the Skype meetings, it was trying to help people. But one of the things you learn in the emergency services, and again now, and I think it's a good lesson for business too, is you should never jeopardize yourself. Right? So that's where if somebody falls through the ice, you throw them a rope, or you reach out with a stick, or you reach out with an oar or something, right? So if they fall through the ice, you get on the ice, you do all the you do risky stuff, you know, you may get hurt, but you give them an oar, and then, or whatever, they give them a stick, and they try to pull themselves out, or you pull, and the whole idea is because if you give them a stick, and then they start yanking really hard, they start doing something stupid, you can let go. It's like, I am here to rescue you, but if you're a dumbass, I'll let you die. I don't want you to die. I really want this to be a good win-win situation, but I am not going to hurt myself. I'm not going to die for you just because you freaked the fuck out, right? So that's why you throw out a rope, or that's why, right? And so that's the thing, as a rescuer, that's what you're always taught way back in the day. What you're always taught is you don't stupidly put yourself in risk. You know, your safety comes first, your team's safety comes second, and that poor bastard subject, he's third, fourth, fifth, or sixth. Like, really, it is. Like I say, like the rescue world, like the subject or whoever you're going after, their safety is actually the bottom priority if you're doing it properly. And the reason is because, like so many of these people, again, they can react in such a way that they end up killing or hurting the rescuers and themselves at the same time. That doesn't help anybody out. And that's one of the things I found, like with the whole Eli the Computer Guy thing, is that, and I didn't realize it when I created that channel and when I started creating that content, is, you know, I thought I was going to be creating content for fellow technology professionals. You know, I thought I was going to be creating it for, you know, the he who shall not be named of the world. You know, oh, I need to do a telephone system, let me figure that out. And the problem that I found is that so many people have been lied to. And they have this idea that somehow the IT technology profession is cotton candy and fairy dust and where all dreams are born from. When it's not. It's a fucking bastard of a profession. And again, I haven't minded it for most of my time in the profession because, you know, you just deal with it and move on. But, you know, it's not a place. It's not a nice place. It's not a fucking happy place. It's not where you don't come to the profession and say what you need. You provide what other people need, and then you get rewarded for it. But again, everybody's so fucking ass backwards with this stuff anymore. There's just such a massive psychic load with everything that I've done. And so what I like with the Fail Normal is it's just not there. Again, we are going to write posts on how long it takes a man to go to a woman if they want to be a transgender. We're going to write posts on Europol. We're going to write posts on fusion or fission drives. But that's the thing, you get done reading a post on fission or neutron or proton or whatever drives, and you're not going to call me up and say, Eli, I need more information about this proton drive so I can pay my fucking mortgage. I went off on a bit of a tangent there. I'm feeling good with it. I'm feeling good with this whole fail normal thing. I'm telling you, tyranny of the fucked. Tyranny of the fucked. I need to do a whole video on tyranny of the fucked, because I swear to you, like, all these people are so fucked, and they don't even realize how oppressive it becomes. Because again, with so many of these people, everybody else is at fault. The reason that I'm screwed is the government. The reason that I'm screwed is the boss. The reason I'm screwed is the professor. It's just like, I don't... And then you're like, Then I say, people like me give up. And again, I think that's almost an interesting lesson. It is what I like doing these live videos, is you can hear my verbal diarrhea in a lot of ways, and you can actually see a lot of the decision-making process. And that's one thing. Like, I don't want to focus on it too much, but I really do want you to know that a huge portion of my decision to go to fail normal versus doing Eli the computer guy is simply that concept of the psychic load that so many needy people, day in, day out, demanding, that it really does drag, well, fuck it. Fuck it. I'm gonna keep doing content stuff, but I'll do something else, right? And you do think about it. You think about it with professors. You think about that with police officers. You think about that with business owners. How many people just give up? Like, I knew the person who did... I had this special roof put on my commercial building and my row house back in Baltimore, and it was like this foam roof. So it's this foam roof, and then you spray latex paint on top. So it's really cool, is it completely seals the roof for any of these flat roofs. Lasts for like 50 years, plus it gives you insulation, plus gives you R-value insulation. And I was talking with that guy, and he was running one truck. So he had one truck with 5 employees. And he was doing all the stuff, and I was like, wow, I'm kind of surprised you're not bigger than you are, because, I mean, you do good work, and it's a good price, blase, blase, blase. And basically what he said, oh, no, I used to have 5 trucks. I used to have 5 trucks with full crews. I was like, oh, really? What happened? And he said, I got tired of their shit. I was like, what? He said, look, I have one truck with 5 guys. It pays me more than enough money. I am happy as a pig in mud, and I don't have to deal with too much shit at this point. Again, I have to deal with 5 guys worth of shit, but dealing with 5 employees worth of shit is a hell of a lot easier to deal with than 25 employees worth of shit. And basically what he said, and this is something to think about in the real business world, right? And everybody bitches about the 1%, and everybody complains about the business owners, and everybody complains about everybody up at the top. And you have to understand, the authority figures get tired. They're just like, you know what, fuck, I could hire 25 employees with real middle-class salaries and benefits. And the reason I'm not is because I don't want to deal with their shit. Again, nobody talks about that when they talk about the war on the middle class. And again, that's what I like with doing these videos, and hopefully fail normal, is it's trying to give that viewpoint where, you have the Republicans. The Republicans say the way to improve the economy is through taxation. Less taxes, less taxes, less taxes. And again, you can see my property. I'm in one of the groups that gets the shit taxed out of them. And I'm not really sure how that works. Again, I'll always accept lower taxes. I'm not going to bitch about lower taxes. But taxes have nothing to do with whether I fail normal or not, right? So you have that, and then you have the like I say, the MSNBCs and the progressives or whatever, and they're bitching and they're saying, oh, we need to have a $15 an hour minimum wage and blah 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 blah, and nobody's listening to the business owners as we say, hey, you know why we don't want to hire more people? You know why we don't want to pay employees more? Because so many employees are fucking little twits. They're little shits that won't shut up about their whiny-ass problems, that say me, and they think their managers and they think their bosses are fucking surrogate parents. And I tell you what, even these people's parents shouldn't hear this much bitching. But nobody wants to talk about that. Republicans want to talk about taxes. The fucking Democrats want to talk about $15 an hour minimum wages. Nobody wants to say, hey, maybe if so many employees stop being whiny little snots, it would make life so much better. Again, anyways. Probably just lost a lot of people. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not going to subscribe to you. You goddamn 1%er. You suck. Yeah, I'm not a 1%er. 2%er? I actually have to figure out the math on the 1%er. It's like a whole percentage math. You have to have this much money in the bank, you have to make this much money per year, and then you're in these different percentages. So I'm probably not a 1%. That's probably a lie. I try not to lie, and I try not to exaggerate. I'm probably not a 1%er, 2%er, 3%er. But it is hard, though, because like the difference between a 3%er and a 1%er is actually pretty fucking massive. Anyways, probably saying too much right there. Never mind. Let me just go back. Let's go back. So anyways, let's get to your folks' comments. Eli, have you considered getting a 360-degree camera for your next trip? I was thinking because we missed that totally cool blue heron that you said you saw. If you make a GoFundMe, someone will pay for it. Well, one, oddly enough, I don't believe very many people will fund a GoFundMe campaign for me. I'm very happy for my Patreon. I have my nice little Patreon account. I love everybody. I love all the little snowflakes that fund my Patreon account. You I love, because you give me what I want. Show me that sexy money. Show me that sexy money. Show me those Benjamin Franklins. So my Patreon account is up to like $106 per month. Yay! I just got like a few Patreon people. And again, that's what helps fund this. That's what helps fund failnormal.com. And again, as I say, I'm paying people for failnormal.com, so you give me money and that goes out to other people. Right? Just saying that's how it works. But even with that, like, I don't know. I don't have a good face for like crowdfunding. You know what I'm saying? Like Ethan and Hilla or whatever, they get sued and they get like $150,000 in donations. I think if I got sued, you'd be like, here's a couple of bucks, Eli, right? I'm just not. Again, and that's one thing you just have to realize in life. There are things that you will be good at, and things that you will not. And again, like I have that confidence. I have that chin. I have the dark eyes. I have the big forehead. So I'm one of those people that I can gain people's confidence very quickly, very easily. But I don't have that vulnerability. Like you see poor little Ethan going, I'm gonna get sued. You're like, oh my God, here's money, right? Yeah, I don't think GoFundMe would work well. Maybe it would. But the bigger problem with the 360-degree cameras is do realize, like, with all this stuff, you get bigger and bigger and bigger file sizes. So my problem right now is, so for a 2-hour, 1080p, 60 frame per second video, it comes out at 24 gigs. 24 gigs. So, if I did a 360-degree video, I would bet you one of these talk shows will come out at about the 200 gig mark. Easily. And then once you get up to 200 gigs, even though I've got a 35 megabit per second connection upload speed, you start running into issues. And then the other thing you have to really think about is it's kind of like with that whole comment system thing. Like, yeah, you can have a comment system, but does it really make the experience better? And so since I'm basically doing this as a talk show, do you really need a virtual reality talk show? Right. So every once in a while, there will be something cool that goes on off screen. But I don't believe for that every once in a while event, it's worth frickin' petabytes of data storage. And again, this is just the kind of thing that you have to think about. There's a trade-off for everything. So that's my thought there. The emails of Hillary are not worth prosecuting, says the FBI. Yeah, I don't know. Liverwurst and scrap. This can't be a worse presidential election. Like, no matter how bad this presidential election seems like it's gonna be, it's just like, oh, and in case you forgot, here's a little Braunschweiger on top. So with Hillary now, Hillary Clinton, her whole email thing. So she did have confidential and secret and all that kind of stuff, emails on her system. 110 of them or so were confidential or were classified at the time that they went through her system initially. There's all kinds of stuff. And then the FBI says, we don't believe that she should be prosecuted. I wish it was somebody other than Trump. Because again, like I said, that's my whole problem with Hillary. I was so like, hell no on Hillary. Hell no. Like, the only person I would completely say is worse than Hillary would be Cruz. If it was Cruz versus Hillary, fuck it. But again, now it's like Trump, Hillary. again, you got the whole Trump University debacle going on. Then you have her email thing going, and again, it's not just her email thing, but again, I've been an adult since Clinton originally got into office, and there's so much weird hinky crap with them. And then the fact, that she stood by Bill Clinton, because again, Bill Clinton had the affair with Monica Lewinsky, and had all that stuff with all those other women, and that Hillary stood by his side. I have to say, honestly, if Hillary had divorced his ass and taken all of his money, feminism, yay, right? But she's just such a I don't even know. And I have to say, the whole thing with, like I say, the FBI saying that they don't believe there's enough to prosecute. Yeah. Oh, God. Can this election be any worse? I swear, I just want a do-over. Because that's a problem, like I say, especially with this particular presidential election. And now you folks know I will go to the mat over what I believe. Again, I, in the past, talked about my support of Keemstar and Drama Alert when it was not cool to do. I also threw him under the bus in the last one of those videos because I don't know what the hell he's doing anymore, right? I talked about how I wasn't against their React trademark or any of that kind of stuff. So I will go to the mat over controversial issues and basically tell the viewers to go to hell. This is what I believe. I will stand by what I believe. The problem that I just have with this whole presidential election is like anything bad I say about one person doesn't mean I support the other one. Or anything that might be good about one person doesn't mean I support that. Like I say, it's like, okay, you got the Hillary emails, and you got the Trump University, and you got this, and you got that, and it's just like, it's like anything you say, I hate this election cycle. I have never, I hope we as a country collectively pull our heads out of our asses after this election cycle. Because again, like I say, I was there. You know what I'm saying? When it was Bush versus Clinton, and Clinton versus whoever the hell Dole was it or whatever, and Gore versus Bush, and Bush versus Kerry, and whatever. And I have never in my I don't. Even that's the thing. Even Obama versus Romney, I wasn't happy about that. Like I say, I wasn't happy about that. It was like, oh my God, what has our country come to? And again, it's look back 5 years, be like, oh my God, I remember when I worried about Romney versus Obama. And it was like, oh, which one of these am I gonna pick? And I had no idea. Glory days, how they pass us by. Memories of an election between Romney and Obama. I could only wish for Romney this time, or Obama this time. Motherfucker, put Obama back in there for the third term, bring Romney back in, let's have a quibble that way. At least with that. But yeah, Hillary versus, I don't know. I'm beaten. Because again, I don't see how you win on this stuff. You actually think RT is propaganda bullshit. Western media is the most dishonest media there is, and this person goes into where I've never heard of RT before. So I think it's Russian Times, right? RT, it's their news station, Russia's news station. They do Russian news station, they do a website, the whole nine. Just like CNN or Fox News or whatever. It's just Russian version. Al Jazeera. And yeah, again, I'll go to the mat on that one. RT is propagandic bullshit. I did not fully grasp propagandic bullshit. I thought Fox was propagandic bullshit until I saw RT. Yeah, RT is just it. You sit there and you watch it, and you're like, "Is this a comedy channel? Is this like an episode off of Saturday Night Live where they pretend to be like a propagandic news show?" No, I watch while I'm out of country, every once in a while I'll be on and I'll flip on RT, and then it's one of those things you'll be taking a shower and you'll be doing something and you just have it on in the background, just like you would have CNN or Fox News or anything else, and then it'll just be like the most absurd stuff, and then you just stop. You're like, what the hell are these people talking about? And then you go out and you see that little RT logo, and you're like, oh, it's RT. So yeah, no. Again, I'm not saying that Western media isn't horribly skewed, but RT is just propagandic bullshit. Again, like I say, I watch Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is fine. Again, like I say, I know it's skewed, it's biased. I don't necessarily always like where it's biased, but I understand. Again, everything's going to have its bias. But again, like Al Jazeera is biased. RT is propagandic. Don't care. Don't care what you have to say. Let's see here. I'd rather have Eli be himself rather than playing a character. It comes off much more authentic. As far as being a dick goes, Eli always has been a dick, but in a good way. I hate it when people try to hide their feelings for the sake of being politically correct. I did like that comment, because again, if you're going to be a YouTube content creator, or really I would argue if you're really going to be a professional, really people want to deal with folks that are authentic. People want to deal with folks that are going to get the job done and that they feel are authentic. So you get a lot of people that want to try to be all these buttery soft marshmallows, be oh so polite to everybody. And what's so funny is like me being an asshole half the time. You don't know how many times I've heard people say, rip up nice people because they're too nice and they're too sweet and they're too all of those kind of things. And so the one thing that I would say, like I say, a lot of people think I'm an asshole, and a lot of people say, I would never do that if I was a content creator. But the one thing to realize is if you come off too nice and too sweet, it can actually be worse. The other thing is people like to deal with like personalities. Again, think about that in life, right? Life is kind of boring, especially if you're a normal adult with a normal job. You have all of these, cogs in the system. They all believe that they're special little snowflakes, but they're just replaceable cogs in the system. And so one of the things to think about is even if you come off harsh, or even if you come off crass, the fact that you have a personality, a lot of times people want to deal with you. Like I had this one employee, like back when I had my business, my building with my employees and all this, I had this one employee who was a certifiable asshole. I swear to God, like if you saw this employee, I think he mimicked, if he was going to mimic somebody, he like mimicked House. Like really, seriously. He even had like the scruffy beard. He had like, and he was in his 40s. He had retired early from being a CIO level tech professional. Wound up coming to work for me. That's his own little story there. But like I say, if he emulated somebody, he would have emulated House, right? And so like I remember I was dealing with one of my customers, and she had dealt with him, and then like I apologized for something he said. Because again, he just came off as like a true ass half the time. And then it was so funny because I remember she looked at me. She was like, no, I love how he is. I just love his personality. And what you found is, like I say, having a business, I had all kinds of personality people in there. I had an Albanian guy, and an Ethiopian guy, and Taki people, all kinds of different people. And what you realize is that people like dealing with personalities. And so if you try to just be uber plain, uber inoffensive, get along, what you actually find in a lot of ways that it can be very destructive for your career and very destructive for your business, because people just don't want to deal with that. They want personality. Again, like I say, the no soup for you. Apparently the soup Nazi is like a real thing, is a real person. And people love dealing with that, right? Love. He's a soup Nazi, right? But people love it. So that is just one of those things to be thinking about. I'm not saying you should be an asshole or shouldn't be an asshole. Just realize, like, if you are a natural asshole, fucking own it. I think, that's one of my lessons in life, grind. How to be successful is grind. And then how to be is just own yourself. However you are, own it. So many people just don't own who they are. They don't own themselves. And again, if you don't own yourself, and if you don't own your own personality, how the hell are you going to do anything else in life? So that'd be my thought. And then the other thing, like I say, is being authentic or being a bit of an ass on these YouTube videos is, again, I get a lot of crap for that. But do realize, again, kind of like with House, that this is entertainment. Right? If I sat here and went, today in the news, NASA launched a proton drive. The proton drive was approximately 5,000 pounds, and within 3 years will reach a velocity of 5 million miles per minute. Like, you wouldn't watch that. You want to watch it, right? Again, one of the reasons you watch is for the personality. I get so many people like, you're such an asshole. It's like, yeah, but you're still watching. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, 28-day average view time is over 17 minutes. Keeps going up, right? Average view time 17. So yes, I may be an asshole, but you're watching 17 minutes of an asshole. So you know what? I would rather be an asshole with a 17-minute average view time than a really nice person, vanilla, plain, with a 2-minute average view time. Again, it's what you get paid for in life. Question about the Patreon goal. So I have the Patreon account. Patreon, people are giving money to help support this venture. Because again, as I've said before, this is a venture. I do make money. I have a runway. I have a nice runway. I have a nice, flat, long runway. But it does end at a certain point, right? So this does have to make money. So whether it's off of ad revenue, Patreon, sponsors, whatever else, I do have to make money off of this. So if you like what I'm doing, go over to Patreon. So question about the Patreon goal. Are you truly going for $100,000 per month? Or are you thinking $100,000 per year? If it's per month, more power to you, but it would feel much more achievable for supporters if it was $8,334 per month. You might get more supporters because they feel like it actually want to help you achieve that goal. You can always ratchet up once that is achieved. That is an interesting thing with Patreon goals. I didn't really think about it. I don't really have any goals on Patreon because, again, I don't want to get into a different business. This is one of those problems that content creators get into, and something to think about is remember, every service or every product you provide requires different resources, requires different mindset, whole 9 yards, and I don't want to be in the retail business. Like Barnacules. Barnacules makes a chunk of money nowadays off of selling t-shirts. God bless him, Spaghetti Monster bless him, that's great for him. I don't want to sell t-shirts. I don't want to sell t-shirts. Right? And so that's one of the things, like with the whole Patreon goal, is so many people with the Patreon, it's like if you give $2, it's this, if it's $5, it's a bumper sticker, if it's $10, you get all this different stuff. But again, every time you hit one of those things, then you have to give another thing, and then that's a different business. The only thing I want to worry about, creating 2-hour videos every day, and then getting failednormal.com to be your number one news source when you're going number 2. Right? That's all. I don't want to care about bumper stickers. I don't want to care about coffee mugs. Right? So I haven't really thought about the whole Patreon thing with goals and all that kind of stuff. So I guess maybe that makes sense. Maybe we could set a goal of $1,000. I don't know. Like I say, I think I just plugged in that $100,000. Like, I don't even know what that $100,000 is. It's funny. It's like, is that $100,000 a month or $100,000 a year? Like, I don't know. I think somewhere it asked me what my goal was, and I plugged in $100,000 because, I don't know, that sounds like a roundabout good number. Come on. You don't think we can get $100,000 a month? That would be awesome. Kind of cool. See, if we could get Patreoned enough, and that's one of the things, like, I'm open to a lot of stuff. Because, again, like, people want to get together. Like, what if we Patreoned? And again, money comes in, money goes out. Like, again, all these people are like, oh, you just want money. It's like, I don't know what you think I do with money. It's not like I have a mattress full of dollar bills. Like, money comes in and money goes out. That's how the business works. And so that's an interesting thing, like with the Patreon and all that. Like right now I do the 2-hour shows, and then I'm doing like the webzine. But I don't know if we got like enough Patreon money in. Maybe we could start to do events. Like I've been thinking about that, like with a rambling thought event. Because again, one of the problems that I see with so many events, like I say, whether they're tech or they're business or anything, is they're so specific and they're so worthless. Again, as I say, like, you know, I've seen billionaires speak about how they made their $1 billion. And here's what you realize. If you're actually trying to solve a problem, if you're actually trying to get ahead in life, and you're not just being like, I was around a billionaire, is that the information is basically fucking worthless. Fucking worthless. Because they give you all this information. But so much of the lessons that they learned 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And again, especially in like technology and business, things really do change. You know, tactics change, strategy changes, all that kind of stuff. So if you're talking to a billionaire about how they made $1 billion, the reality is there's very little information there that's actually useful. On the other hand, there was this one billionaire that I was watching talk, and this guy owns a warship. I've talked about him a lot. Fucking up. He owns a warship. There's a decommissioned British naval warship. He had so fucking much money, he bought this thing. And he put a jacuzzi in it, and he did all this stuff. And then there's these Somali, the pirate patrols over by Somalia. A lot of those pirate patrols are being done by private, essentially mercenary organizations. And so in order to do those pirate patrols, they find the sailors to be the mercenaries to do it, but then they've actually got to find ships to put these people on, because they can't use regular navies. It's not like you can't take private contractors and give them a navy ship, like an entire navy ship. So they were going out looking for ships that they could rent in order to do the pirate patrols. And so somebody called him up and said, hey, look, this private security company or whatever is looking for warships to rent. You obviously own one. Would you be willing to, lease it out for a year or 2 or 3 or however long the contract is for? And so we talked about that, where he had like these military people come in, and he was like, yeah, okay, well, this is how everything is. And on the top deck, there's a nice jacuzzi in the middle. And they're like, you have a jacuzzi on this thing? He's like, of course. Go up there. It's like this warship. They're out, doing Somali pirate operations. Be like, yeah, okay. Oh, we killed those pirates. Let's sit in the jacuzzi for a little while. But again, like, do I want to hear that guy talk about how he made $1 billion? No, not really. Like I say, not really relevant. Do I want to hear what his opinion on technology is? Again, I mean, he made his $1 billion off of the technology of 15, 20 years ago. What I would really like to hear from him is, how do you buy, license, maintain, manage a fucking warship? Once I got my $1 billion, how am I going to buy? I want to buy one of those things, right? Ferraris are so like 2001. Ferraris are so 2001. This is 2016. I want a warship. It's a whole new thing to "you sunk my battleship." But again, like I say, so that's kind of like my thought with like a rambling thoughts event. Like, you bring these people in, and you don't necessarily have them talk about why they're theoretically famous or whatever. You have them talk about what they're actually interested in. Like I saw, what's the guy from Reddit? He's the adorable guy from Reddit. Got the beard going on. Oh, of course I knew the name like 5 minutes ago before I talked about him. But anyways, there's the guy from Reddit. And again, I saw him at one of these speeches, and he was blathering on about a lot of stupid stuff that didn't matter. But then he got on to, like, one of his passions is logos. And so he was talking about how he created like the Reddit logo, and then he helped create Hipmunk, and he creates a really cute logo. And he was talking about like the value of adorable logos. And again, you're looking at this person, help build Reddit, help build this, help build the other thing. What does everybody want him to talk about? Oh, VC funding. Fuck VC funding. How did you build the technology? Fuck the technology. What's really cool is seeing that guy's eyes light up when he starts talking about how to create adorable logos. Adorable logos is the cornerstone of your business. And that's kind of like my thought. Like, if I can have this make money, like, that'll be like the third component. Because again, whenever you're doing like a media business is really, at this point in time, you got your video, you got your text, and then you got your events. So my idea with the events is like the Rambling Thought Conference. And basically that would just be the thing. It would just be like really prominent people riffing about the shit that they're curious about now. Again, not how they got to where they are, because that really doesn't matter. It's, what is really curious. I was sitting there with an 18-year-old the other day, and they were talking about blah. So I don't know. That's my thought. So if you want to give money to the Patreon, give money to the Patreon, and then I'll think about it. I don't know. Maybe that could be the goal. Like, if we got to $5,000 a month, I would try to do an event. Oh my God, that would be painful. Lewis, that's your job. Whenever something seems really painful and horrible, I will just pass that off to Lewis. Lewis, this sounds like something you should do. You would be perfect doing this, Lewis. Lewis, you need to do events. Anyways. Eli, could you give a quick update on what kind of videos you are going to release in the future? I don't like these videos, but I'm interested in your other content you did in the past. I'm sure you said it in a video, but I'd rather not watch through them all to find it, since they're quite long. So again, as far as my video content is concerned, this is basically what I do. 5 days a week, I do these videos for 2 hours. The other ones, Eli the Computer Guy and Eli Computer Guy Live. How do I put this? I have meant to already have created new videos. Right, I have this idea for Eli the Computer Guy. I want to do these more like theoretical talk videos, and then Eli Computer Guy Live. I just want to do the normal videos, and I have thought about that a lot. Over the past like week and a half since we've been back, I have spent a lot of mental energy thinking about doing those videos. I've definitely thought about doing those videos. A lot. And again, that's one thing like with business to understand. It's not just about what you want to do and what makes sense and where you can make money and all that kind of stuff. Like so many times, it's just simply, what do you actually do? Again, and that's the thing, like I talk about that with my wife. Because I'm always working. I am always doing something. The problem is I don't necessarily want to do the idea that I had, right? And so like I say, so I do 2 hours of video a day, at least. Sometimes I'm talking for 2.5 hours when I go really nutty batshit. But that doesn't mean I necessarily want to do the Eli the Computer Guy stuff. It's like there, and that's the whole thing, like, right? You know, with being successful and with your profession or with your business, again, it's not about the idea. It's not about what you can do. It's not what you can make money off of. It is what do you actually do? And that's where so many people get stuck. So many people get stuck because they say, I can make money doing X, Y, or Z. But if you just sit there munching Doritos, playing PlayStation 4 all day, and you don't do X, Y, or Z, then it doesn't matter, right? So many people get locked in this whole idea about what I can do. And again, that's one of the arguments I've been having with my wife lately, that whole nice entrepreneur startup argument, where she's like, well, what about Eli the Computer Guy? I'm like, well, it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that I'm not doing it. Maybe I don't want to do it either. I don't know. Again, everybody has their things. I don't really see why this content is worse than the other content. That's a funny thing too. Like people are like, Eli, I like your other content better. And again, as a professional, that's what frustrates me as a professional, is I don't really see this content as actually being less valuable than what I used to do. I really don't. And that's not me being snarky, and that's not me being lazy. As a 20-year professional, with a college degree, with 1,600 years experience, as somebody who has had employees, as somebody who's invested, as blase, 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 I don't see how this is actually less valuable. It's less specific on technology. But again, as I've said, technology itself, that's just a changed world anyway. So I don't see how this is less valuable. I would argue this is probably more valuable. But that's my argument. Stop going to sleep, damn it. People say I need to stop smacking this. I will agree with that. So some people said, you need to stop smacking the chair. I will agree. I get so caught up in whatever I'm saying, and then when I smack the chair, it makes a sound. So I will try not to smack the chair so much. Props to you for standing up against Keem haters. IMO the things that he did or did not do, and how wrong they are. If they are true, I can forgive that, well, most. What he did to Pyro, Basher, and the poor old man was very wrong, but he has done a lot of things to help others. I don't know, man. As a content creator, I think he should stay, and at the same time, I don't. He is very influential, as the fact that he had the #1 news show on YT, beat by Scarce Now. I don't know, man. I'm willing to give him one last shot. So again, that goes back to like me going against the grain with a lot of people. And again, saying before that I supported Keemstar until I said I gave up on Keemstar. If he comes back, I'm still waiting for him to come back. Because I did that video on Keem. Was that yesterday? I don't know. I think it was yesterday I did the video on Keemstar. But you guys won't see that until like tomorrow or whatever. But he still hasn't put out any new like actual drama alert videos. He's still just circling in his own little weird world. And again, all I'll say with Keemstar or any of these people is that, again, I will say that everybody's human, and so you have to look at them as what do they provide of value that you actually care about, and go from there. Again, as I've said with Keemstar, I don't know exactly what he's done. And what I dislike, like when you see all the bashing with Keemstar, and again, I'm not saying he's right. I am not saying Keemstar is right at all. And I do, in the bottom of my heart, if you believe he has done something illegal to you, you need to call the police. If you believe there's a civil complaint, you should think about hiring a lawyer. But again, like I say, that is its own thing. One of the issues that I see is just so much of the story with Keemstar is now getting confused, and people are saying things as fact that, at least to me, don't seem like they're fact. And this is what you have to be careful about, again, like I say, with the whole YouTube world, especially this whole YouTube drama world. And that's where I'm getting past the drama. I want more YouTube news. YouTube drama kind of sucks. Because one of the problems is you've got these videos, right? And so like with somebody like me, you do a 2-hour video, and then if you want to jump cut the shit out of this 2-hour video, I'm sure you can get me saying something really horrible. Again, I actually think about that. Again, as I always say, don't worry about what is moral and what is ethical. Think about reality. And so you will never see me hear me say the N-word ever for any reason. Because as soon as I say the N-word, then you can jump cut that shit to have me saying anything you want, right? So again, like I say with girls, I never say tits and ass. Well, you know, other than saying I don't say tits and ass, I don't go there. I don't talk about cleavage. I don't talk about any of that kind of stuff, because again, you can jump cut that shit to make it sound really bad. And so with the whole Keemstar thing is I don't really trust how things are getting jump cut, because you're not seeing the full context of everything going on. And again, as I also say with Keemstar, is, you know, people grow up. And again, I remember being 27. I remember my friends that were 27. And so, and that's what you get. You have to be careful about with the whole Keemstar story. Again, whether you like Keemstar or hate Keemstar, again, you just take it as a learning experience. Just take it as a white paper. The Keemstar white paper, right? And so what I dislike with a lot of this stuff with the Keemstar and all the jump cuts is they're taking 7 years of video material over many different platforms while he's done very different projects and jump cutting that down to making him look like a complete and utter asshole. And so I'm very, very, very cautious on that and believing any of that kind of stuff. Because again, you know, over a 7-year period, people have been online. They've said, and again, like I say, like you're not going to be, you know, like I say, I'm spitting distance of 40. And I can say, I'm not proud of all the things that I did when I was 25. I'm really not proud of all the things that I did when I was 25. I'm not proud of all the things that I did when I was younger. The nice part about my generation, though, is YouTube didn't fucking exist. YouTube didn't exist. Facebook didn't exist. I mean, when I backpacked through India, you know, we didn't even have digital cameras. Digital cameras really didn't become mainstream until the early 2000s. So, I mean, you know, I graduated in 94. So I mean, you got to think about that. I was like 28 before digital cameras became mainstream, right? So a lot of the stuff that I did, I mean, it just vanishes into history. It just literally vanishes into history. And so that's where I get concerned with a lot of the whole Keemstar and the Keemstar bashing stuff. Is again, if you have something against him, by all means, use the YouTube system to go after him. By all means, use law enforcement to go after him, by all means. But like I say, this whole he said, she said thing, and what I get worried about, like with Keemstar 2 and the whole Keemstar white paper, is you start to see people say things that, again, don't seem to be true. So if you look at the complaint of Keemstar doxing somebody, so Keemstar doxing Pyrotechnical or anybody else, again, there's a huge amount of he said, she said there. And again, no matter how it comes down, I would argue Keemstar is in the wrong, because him doing a drama alert channel with him saying, how should I know your first and last name is in your Skype or whatever? You can fucking read, dude. That's a bit disingenuous. So if you want to bash him on doxing or whatever else, that's your call. But where I get concerned is then people start saying things, and then those things start to become truth. And so now people are saying that Keemstar swatted people. He swatted my friend. And I've seen some of these videos, and at this point I've given up. There's too many videos about Keemstar, and I truly don't give a shit about it. I don't care enough. I care enough about Keemstar as in a white paper on him. I don't care enough about Keemstar to care that much. But there's become this whole thing, this whole thing that he swatted people. And that's where it's like, nothing that I see shows that he swatted people. What I see is that you can accuse him and probably argue and win that he doxed somebody. I can see where he bullied or went after somebody. But swatting itself is actually a specific act. Swatting is where you pick up the phone, you call the police department in an area, and you say X, Y, or Z. And in nothing that I've seen have I actually seen where he's swatted somebody. He may have called on people to swat. Again, that's definitely not a good thing, but that's actually not him swat. And so that's where I get this whole Keemstar thing gets into a mess, because now people are accusing him of things that even the jump cutted to hell and back evidence doesn't seem to substantiate. And so that's where I worry on the whole Keem thing. So again, I don't support Keemstar one way or the other. I support Drama Alert with Keemstar when he's not whining. Again, with this whole Keemstar, the big knock that I would give on Keemstar with this mess is just simply he's acting like a toddler over it, I would argue. Again, like, I'm an ass. I am a certified level 9 jackass, right? Everybody knows that. And I take the knocks for it. Holy shit, I take the knocks for it. And I accept it. Sometimes I get a little pouty, but I accept it. I mean, that's who I am. That's what I play on YouTube. That's basically what I am in real life. I get on this video, and then, like I say, I deal with the trash that I get. I normally deal with it with the band hammer. I do love my pretty little band hammer, but I deal with it. The big knock that I would give with Keemstar is it seems like he's trash-talked a lot of people. He's done a lot of questionable stuff. And now he's in his room crying with his little binky. And again, all the way up until him running into his room and crying with his binky, I understood. But now he's acting all pissed. Why do people dislike me? I'm exposing other people. It's like, dude, you're a level 9 douche. You're a level 9 douche. Level 9 douches are gonna get crap. This is literally what you do. You build a Drama Alert channel to profit off of the YouTube drama. Do not bitch about YouTube drama. You know what I'm saying? Like if you get sued, hire a lawyer. If the police come after you, deal with that. But like the problem that I find with Keemstar is that he has made the name for himself off of YouTube drama, and now he's in his little bedroom doing a fucking hissy fit over people kind of sort of doing what he's done to everybody else. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, again, we can argue about, well, was he this bad with other people? But again, it's splitting hairs. It's splitting hair. Was he that bad with other people? Is what he's getting worse than what he's giving other people? Seems a wee bit hair splitting, you know what I'm saying? So again, I would just say, I hate to say man up or whatever, but you do a drama channel. Just go on there. Again, and again, with all of this stuff, the main point of this channel, the main point that I'm trying to get across to you folks, morals, ethics, all that shit aside, is the idea of how will you react if something like this happens to you. So again, if you started getting a whole crap ton of YouTube drama directed at you, how would you deal with it? Me personally, I would ignore it. If a grade A under A did an expose video on me, not really sure what he's going to expose, but if he did, I would fucking link to it. I would share the hell out of that shit. Again, when the drunken peasants called me a fart bubble, I shared the shit out of that shit. I shared that shit. Why? Because again, it's not exactly like a killer argument. It's not like, oh no, my reputation will be ruined by being called a fart bubble by people wearing wrestling masks and looking like they live in their mom's basements. Like, literally. It's like, no, seriously, you guys look like you live in your mom's basement. Like, come on now. I'm just saying. Probably don't live in your mom's basement, but it still looks like you do. Like, come on, right? But again, like I say, that's what I would say with Keemstar. He just needs to just keep putting, like I say, if Keemstar, for me, I can say from my opinion is if Keemstar had continued to put out videos, Ty Blue had never showed up, I wouldn't give a shit, to be honest with you. Again, and I watch all of Grade A's videos. I watch every Grade A video that comes out, and I would have watched Grade A's video, and I would have been like, wow, Keemstar seems like an ass. Huh, I wonder what it's on Drama Alert today. Right? The whole problem with Drama Alert, the entire crux of the issue with Drama Alert right now is that Keemstar has gone off to have a hissy fit. Like, if he hadn't gone off to have a hissy fit, I wouldn't care. I would have spent 40 minutes laughing with Grade A doing his videos, and then promptly gone over to say, huh, yeah, I haven't seen Drama Alert today. Click. Anyways. Just curious to see your response to Scarce's video about Keemstar. That's the video that shows the worst in Keemstar and really gets me to see him in a bad light. And again, as I say with all this drama stuff anymore now, my big problem now with drama on YouTube is, again, I'm not against Drama Alert, I'm not against Scarce, I'm not even against Grade A. The problem is that there's too much of this, and it's like piranhas trying to feed on each other. Like, I feel as if the great Pewds, prophesized this moment like 2 months ago, right? Because PewDiePie, he did this video on like the problem of YouTube or whatever else, I forget what the name of it is, and he was complaining about drama. And to be honest with you, I like PewDiePie when he's not talking about video games or doing something, talking about 14-year-olds, so I watched it. And again, he had some points, he missed some points. Again, it's good to watch PewDiePie when he talks about something other than video games. But like by and large, I pretty much ignored it. I know Grade A lost his shit over it, and Drama Alert did something over it. But like, again, for me, I watched Pewd's thing. I went, yeah, whatever. I don't really. It's not that I really disagree with you, but I really don't think it's as big a problem as you say it is. And I shrugged it off. Now I have to say, like 2 months later, I feel as if the Pewds had tapped directly into the matrix of YouTube and could see all the dominoes falling. And so he actually prophesized the moment. When he was speaking, he wasn't really speaking from the moment of 2 months ago. He was channeling the moment of now 2 months ago. And his warning went on deaf ears because it was 2 months too early. And that's basically what I feel like with so much of the drama stuff. Is again, I'm not against Scarce, I'm not against Drama Alert, I'm not against who Grade A or any of it. It's just at this point with the drama is one person is doing a video about another person's doing a video about the same person doing, again, like there's fucking like 110 videos on Keemstar. Okay, admittedly 2 of them are mine, but hey. Hey, I'm not talking about that, right? But again, there's just so much of this he said, she said, and it's just like back and forth in response to this and response. And again, it just turns into a colossal mess at a certain point because there's only so many hours I want to listen about Keemstar. Again, I saw Grade A stuff about Keemstar. I saw Keemstar's rebuttal to stuff. I saw Leafy is Here. I saw a Leafy is Here video. I guess that's useful. I've seen at least one of his. And I saw something else. I don't really like Scarce, though. Again, no offense to Scarce, but it is kind of those things with YouTube content creators. Like, I was listening to Scarce, because that's what Grade A said. Grade A said, fuck Drama Alert, go watch Scarce. And again, I'm not anti-Drama Alert, but if Scarce is better, I will drop Drama Alert, because I want the better one. But I do have to say, I was watching Scarce, and he just, like, how he comes across very Thai Bluish to me. Like, it's drama, man, it's drama. I want a level 9 douche telling me my drama. I will not accept anything lower than a level 5 douche telling me my drama. And I just don't feel like Scarce is really on the douche scale, the doucheometer. I just don't feel like, I don't think he is like a certified douchetist. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so anyways. So, yeah, no, I won't watch Scarce. I won't watch any more of it. I have said my bit on Keemstar. I'm a little worried, because that's why I went to talk to the police today. Because my video on Keemstar will drop tomorrow. And I've been thinking about the name for the video for Keemstar, because I did the name for video of Keemstar, you know, Keemstar is dead, parentheses, to me. And again, it's really cute. And I think to all of my followers and all of my fans, they will think it's really cute, and they'll know, they'll get where I'm coming from. Because basically, I did a video like that on Steve Jobs years ago. So I was talking about Apple. I didn't like Tim Cook back in the beginning. I'm still not a huge fan of Tim Cook. Again, the Mac products are really good, so I'll keep buying them. But there hasn't been a lot of innovation, and so I did on the Daily Blob. I did it was a tongue-in-cheek joke. You know, Steve Jobs is dead to me, and this was like 6 months after Steve Jobs had died. And basically the idea that, you know, where the hell is the innovation coming from with Apple? So I did the whole, you know, Keemstar is dead, parentheses, to me. And I don't know, like, it's good SEO, I think. Might be good clickbaity type stuff. But I am a little, I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know how that's gonna go. And so that's where we get into the main topic today of trying to prevent or mitigate the danger of swatting. Because again, like I say, I am not here about morals, I'm not here about ethics, I'm not here about what is right, I'm not here about what is wrong, I'm about this is how the world is. As the world is, what do you do? And again, like I say, for me, even though if you've seen the videos, I have a really big house, as my wife and I have started traveling more, as I've gotten more prominent, ironically, this may sound really funny to say, but I have actually gotten rid of almost everything of value in my house. Right? If you go into my house, I have a nice 4K TV, but again, those actually aren't that much money anymore. You know, I've got my MacBook Pro, but if I leave the house, I take the MacBook Pro with me. Like, if you broke into my house, there actually isn't that much to acquire. There's some temple-grade statues. They weigh like 800 pounds a piece. I come in from a trip. There's like some desiccated remains of some geek underneath of like the Shiva statue. I'm like, well, yeah, that was stupid to try to steal. That's fucking heavy. Like, I've got some statues that are really heavy, but those are gonna go away anyway when we move. But I've actually gotten rid of like most of the stuff that actually has any value. And one of the true, honest reasons is because I looked at it, and when you have things of monetary value, then you worry about things of monetary value because you worry about what would happen. Like, everything that you have of value is a vulnerability. And so one of the things I looked at is I don't want to worry about my stuff. I don't want to have to stress about my stuff. If anything is stolen, I don't even really want to have to worry about the insurance company, to be honest with you. It's like, oh no, that was taken. Great. Something I didn't have to give to Goodwill, right? And so this is one of those things I talk about, like with mitigating risk. And so I've talked about before, like with the whole doxing thing, like all these people are worried about doxing. I've gotten doxed like for years now for my followers. And as I say, I mean, what you have to think about is why is that information so valuable? Why is that information stuff that you're scared getting to the public? Again, I was born in the 70s. I mean, I remember the white pages. It's so funny. Everybody's like, oh, what if somebody knows my address? And I remember when we all used to get the fucking white pages, and we knew everybody's address. You just flip through and you grab the address, right? Doxing, like with your information, the question is why is that a big deal? And if it is that such a huge deal, then what are you going to do to mitigate that, right? You know, again, like I say, with grade A, under A, and again, I know he watches these videos, so I'll just hammer it home. If he's not thinking about his personal security, he's a fucking idiot. I mean, he's got 2.5 million subscribers. He is a real star. Again, my main channel, Eli the Computer Guy, has 712,000 subscribers. And with that, I am recognized damn near wherever I go in the country, right? Anywhere I go. Like, I went to Best Buy today. Just trying to buy a couple of things. Oh my God, you're Eli the Computer Guy. Like, this is a normal thing, and I've got 712,000 subscribers. So once you get up to like 2.5, these other people with 5 and 6 and 8 million subscribers, you just have to think about security. And again, that's what I've talked about with me and my wife. Whenever we leave this, I mean, there is a good chance we will go into a condo. Like, if this fail normal actually becomes successful, the way I think it could be, I mean, one of the decision points for where we live next and why we probably go into a condo is from a security standpoint. Should I have to worry about my security as a YouTube person? Again, I don't care. It doesn't matter. The reality is that you should. It is wise if you do. So I talk about all this stuff. So you know, with the whole everything that I said about Keemstar yesterday, and then especially since that might be clickbaitish, and I said I don't really care if I get doxxed, then I realized, I wonder if I would get swatted. And again, this is where I say you should take agency in your own life. Take control of your own life. So I thought about it. And before something happens to you, think about, well, what if? What can you do to mitigate if something was going to happen to you? So what if somebody swatted me? So I started to think about it. And so the first thing that I did, and something to think about if you are a YouTube star, is I created a nice sign and put it in one of my front windows that said, SWAT. We did not call you. Hoax swatted. So again, if I have a SWAT team come in, and they're all thinking with their fucking lizard brain, because again, whenever you're in paramilitary stuff, there's your human brain and your lizard brain. When the guns and body armor come out, you go into lizard brain. You don't think quite so clearly anymore. So again, I put a big sign in my window. I don't go through an entire fucking dissertation of I am Eli the computer guy with 712,000 subscribers, and sometimes I say things that might piss people off. What do I put? SWAT. So when they're sitting there with guns, they go, hey boss, what's that? There's a sign. I think it's for you. It says, we did not call. I don't think they called us. Hoax. Swatted. Maybe we should call somebody before we break this door down, right? Because you put that there, and then people know. And again, I'm not particularly worried about actually having to call a real SWAT team, because I have a pretty boring life anymore, right? So again, that's one of the things you think about, is how can you mitigate the situation? If you are a live stream gamer, if you're a YouTuber where you may get swatted, again, one of the things I talk about as being a professional is what a professional does, what a true professional does. A professional answers questions the client does not know to ask, right? So when I went and I used to install servers, I would sit there, and one of the reasons my customers love me, my clients love me, is I would answer every single damn question that they had thought about or that they hadn't thought about before they even opened their mouth. This is what this is going to cost, this is what this is going to cost, this is the time it's going to take, these are things that are going to be up, these are things that are going to be down, these are problems that you can expect, these are the good points that you can expect, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, wow, right? So when I think about it, right, I think about the SWAT team as being my client. Hey, look, there's a SWAT team that's come over for a cup of coffee. What do I need to tell this SWAT team before they come in my door so that they don't muck everything up? Why don't I tell them that it's a hoax? That they really shouldn't have come. I'm sorry, it's not really a party for you people. No, right? And so I put a big sign there. Because again, like I say, if you have people coming in, they are looking at all this stuff. Again, if you do emergency services, if you do paramilitary stuff, the environment is the biggest deal. What is your environment? Because again, like, there's a lot of crappy houses around here. Again, like I say, if you're in Maryland, there's a lot of shit houses, especially like my wife and I. When we were looking to buy this house, we saw some horrendous houses. We saw some really like scary houses. And again, like if you're a SWAT team member, this is what all the normal people think about. You're a SWAT team member, you got the body armor, you got the guns, you got the battering ram. What are you worried about? You're worried about guns, you're worried about knives. See, what normal people don't think about, what you really need to think about, is what happens when you step on the back porch and it's rotted through, and so you're carrying like an extra 100 pounds of weight, and so a 200 some odd pound man wearing an extra 100 pounds of weight through the porch. Hey. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of ways to get hurt in that business. And so you look at your environment. So if I know that they're going to come in and they're going to be looking at their environment, and create a nice big sign that says, SWAT, we did not call you, hoax, swatted, we'll put that into their head. All right. And the next thing I did, personally, was, again, if you're worried about swatting and all that kind of stuff, do remember that police officers are there for the community. Theoretically speaking, at least. And so you can go talk to them. Again, how many YouTubers have actually gone and talked with their police department? So that's what I actually did today. Woke up this morning, got my cup of coffee, all that, went over to the police department and talked to them about swatting and talked to them about all of that kind of stuff and had a very good conversation. Had a very good conversation with our local police officers. I do like the Baltimore County police officers, at least for our area. Again, depending on what district you're in, there's all kinds of different districts and all that kind of stuff. Our police officers for this district, I really liked. And one of the reasons I liked, and this is one thing, like, it does make me nervous to move to a different state, because I do have to say, like, when you talk with people here, especially with things that matter, you realize that there are personality traits that other places may not have. And one of the things that I really like about the Maryland area is, like, everybody is actually really pragmatic. Like, again, whether it's a police officers or criminals, a lot of people are like really there's like a pragmatism in Maryland that's very nice. And so I went there and I was talking with the police officers, and I was like, yeah, worried about this. And they said, well, listen, we're going to be the first ones to respond in this area. And talking to the guy, and he said, look, and it was a funny thing, and that's what I liked with being in the Maryland area. It's like, look, they said they haven't had a SWAT incident in quite a while. And they said, look, we're not going in guns blazing. Because he said, I want to go home tonight. And that's my kind of police officer. He knows his priorities. He wants to go home, right? Because again, that's one of the things you have to worry about with like some of the police officers. And some of the police officers, they want to get the bad guy. Priority job one is getting the bad guy. Priority job one is getting justice. Priority job one is getting revenge. Priority job one is proving they have a ball sack. My security, my professionals, I want them to go home at the end of the day. I want their priority to be home at the end of the day. It's a nice thing talking with them, because they're like, look, our priority is going home at the end of the day. So we do not go in guns blazing. If we get a call, we will deal with it. We will call everybody if possible, blah, 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 blah. I talk with them, and I have to be careful with this in case somebody does decide to swat me. There's something called operational security. So whenever you're talking about security, there's two types of main security. There's physical security and operational security. Physical security is the lock on your door. The lock on your door, the alarm system on your house, the surveillance camera. That's physical security. Then there's what's called operational security. And operational security is basically where you confuse people. So physical security is putting a biometric lock on your server room door. Operational security is putting a restroom sign and then putting an out of order sign on your server room door. So that when a criminal breaks in to try to steal something out of your server room, they look in every other room than the out of order restroom. Right? So I don't want to go into too much stuff talking to the police officers because, God help me, Spaghetti Monster help me. I'll tell you, this is how they said they'd respond. And then somebody like fucking taking notes and being like, okay, so the best way to get them to shoot Eli in the head is. But I sat there and had a nice little conversation with them, and I feel very comfortable with our police department. I feel very comfortable again with our area and basically how they said they would respond to the situation. So I've talked with them and I feel comfortable with them, and I put a nice little sign. So hopefully that will mitigate the response for any kind of swatting or any kind of that kind of thing. And again, this is where I would say in life, I feel like so many people, the reason they feel so weak and the reason they feel so powerless is, again, they feel as if the world does stuff to them, not that they actually act upon the world. And now again, you may say, well, Eli, what if the police officers, what if the SWAT team doesn't see that sign? Or what if they get some new gung-ho, recruit that just came back from Afghanistan and just wants to shoot people? And again, that's the other thing you have to realize is, as an adult, is at the end of the day, you have to realize sometimes people get shot. Some people die. Again, that's one of the jokes my wife and I have. Because a lot of people have died. We've seen a lot of people die over the last few years. Lots of different ways. Lots of entire colors of the rainbow. How you can end up in the ground. But the one thing to realize is that no lives are ever saved. It's a lie. Again, you know how I say everybody lies to you? That's another lie. Nobody ever saves a life. Police don't save lives. Soldiers don't save lives. Paramedics don't save lives. Firefighters don't save lives. Doctors don't save lives. Nobody saves lives. Eli, that's ridiculous. No? People postpone other people's deaths, right? So my wife had 2 cancers, and so the doctors went in and they postponed her death. Hopefully they will have postponed it for another 40 years. But again, once you see the statistics on cancer, you just give up. Your life is in the Spaghetti Monster's hands when the oncologist flips around the graph, showing you like the different survival rates depending on what option you do. And again, there's no 100% solution. Because I was thinking, my wife was looking at the different options for once she had her double mastectomy. And the thing is, you can do this, you can do that. I don't want to misspeak because there's all kinds of different words to use. But the thing was, it was like, And every treatment you take also has side effects. And they can be like fucking nasty side effects, like stroke and heart attack type side. It's the type of thing. You take the medicine to fix the cancer, and then it causes you to have a heart attack and you die anywhere. I mean, that kind of stuff, right? And so we're looking at this chart. And it's like, okay, so if you do everything, all the side effects and everything, you still have like a 15% chance of dying of cancer. If you do absolutely nothing at all, there's like a 30% chance you'll die of cancer. And so it's like one of those things where you're looking at these numbers and you're like, if I do absolutely nothing, there's a 70% chance I'll live till whatever. I'll live till get hit by a bus. If I do absolutely everything, there's still a 15% chance from the cancer that I'll die. And that's not even including possible stroke or heart attack or whatever the hell else, right? And that's one of the things, is you look at it like as an adult, as a real adult. And that's why I try to tell the fucking 14-year-olds, and they don't get through their heads, is Fantasyland doesn't exist. Disneyland actually does exist. But whatever. The world of Disney doesn't exist. There is no world where if you do everything right, you survive, and if you do it wrong, you die. It's all risk and it's all chance. But the thing that I see is so many people put their hands up in the air and they say, well, if I can't have a guarantee of 100% success, then I'm not going to do anything at all. But then that's why I would argue so many people are so miserable and so pathetic, because if you take no agency in your life, if you take no responsibility for your life, then you don't control anything at all, right? Like with our whole boy, he who shall not be named, poor old Lewis. I don't even know what the hell's going on with Apple. He is so fucking cryptic at this point. It's like, dude, I need the freaking Indiana Jones decoder ring to even know what he's talking about anymore in half of his videos. But apparently, there is something between a fruit company and him that may or may not end catastrophically if he may or may not do something or other. But I mean, that's the thing, is it's like you can either sit there and you can whine, he can bitch and he can moan about, oh, look what this fruit company is forcing me to do. Or he can sit there and he can say, okay, this company wants me to do something. The possible worst case, if I fail, this is what can happen. If I succeed, this is what can happen. If I fight, this is what can happen. If I don't fight, this is what can happen. And then you can make a decision, and then you can go ahead and do whatever. And what I'll tell you in life, and I've talked about this before, is when you're looking back, when you're sitting in the chair 10 years from now with your cup of coffee or your beer or whatever, thinking back on this point in time, you are not going to focus and you are not going to really care about the actual results. The actual results aren't the thing that matter. I've talked about that before, where, if you see a really cute girl, when you're thinking about it 5 years from now, you're not really going to care if it was a one-night stand or she backhanded your ass. The actual results don't matter. What you're going to care about is, did you go up to that cute girl and ask her whatever the hell it is you wanted to ask her? Leave it at that. Right? That is what you're going to care about. And so that's why I see with so many people, like I say, with the whole, like with the SWAT thing, with the doxing thing, with so many things, they act as this. Again, they talk about what is fair, they talk about what is right, they talk about what is moral, they talk about what is ethical, they talk about what people should do, they talk about what people, all this stuff, right? And again, what I want you focused on is, what can you do? What are the actions that you can take to make your life better and to mitigate possible problems going into the future? Again, so I know saying that whole Keemstar is dead, parentheses, whatever, to me, and I realize talking about the doxing and the swatting and all that kind of stuff, that might be fucking catnip to the jackasses out there. And so what? Do I not say it? Do I not talk about it because I'm worried about those people? Do I sit in my little room with my little binky and go, oh my God, I hope I don't get swatted today? Or do I use it as an opportunity? I use it for me, I use it as an opportunity to go down and meet my friendly neighborhood police people. And I have to say, they're very nice, friendly neighborhood police people. And actually talking with a couple of them, I feel a little bit more confident overall. And that's the one thing to realize. Like when you do these little actions, it's not simply about the specific thing, but it's also, and again, sitting there and talking with these folks, overall, I actually feel better about the police department in our area. And again, talking with them about crime stats and all that kind of stuff, I feel even better about the area. And again, I could actually look into their eyes. I'm not reading a piece of paper. These are the people that actually have to go out and arrest people. And you can see, oh, okay, right? So you take agency in your life, and that's what I would argue for, right? Because again, so many people, they just want to crow, oh, you shouldn't say bad things, or you shouldn't do this. But again, if it's a possibility, I argue, if it's a possibility, it is better to make the assumption. I hate saying the word, not to make the assumption, because you can't say assume, because assume is bad. Plan. If it is possible, if it is a reasonable threat, plan for how you will deal with it. And if it's a reasonable threat and you plan for how you'll deal with it, then it goes a lot easier. Again, like I say, I just have it in my head. I may get swatted. So if I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about the fact that I may get swatted. And then if a SWAT team shows up at my door, I will have already thought through the process. Okay, and again, that's the thing, is like think through how you would react. So if a SWAT team came to my door, what would I do? What do you think about it? I have been swatted. I am a YouTube star. I will comply. Because again, that's the whole big thing. It's like people don't, that's what you learn in martial arts and all that kind of training, is you do your training. What you do is you work scenarios. You work scenarios again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And sometimes it's physical. Sometimes it's actually grabbing people and doing stuff. And then a lot of times it's just mental. Somebody breaks through door. What do you do? And then you role play it. And then it's like you just shot your partner. Fuck. Okay. Somebody breaks through door. We do this. Right? And again, it's just that thought process. Right? So again, bang, bang, bang on the door. Oh, it's SWAT team. Hello, SWAT team. Right? And you think through. Again, not going to say too much because it's operational security. But again, that's the kind of thing you do. You take agency in your own life. And again, life will go a lot better. And again, you get to learn. You get to learn about your SWAT team. You get to learn about your local police. And again, is that a bad thing? Hey, police officer, remember when you swatted me? And again, you take it in stride. It's all a story, right? People want boring lives. That's what I don't understand with you. Oh, I got swatted. That's awesome. That's a fucking story. Back in the day, long before I was married, one of my best friends back in the day, as he would less than eloquently have put it, that's pussy points. Motherfucker, that's like a whole bag of pussy points right there. And I apologize to any women that are watching, but it's true. You go to the bar after that, you're sitting there drinking a beer, some cute girl's like, hey, what happened to you? It's like, I just had the SWAT team break down my door. Oh, why did the SWAT team break down your door? You a bad boy? Oh, I'm a bad boy. Use it as a story. Again, I wouldn't mind if I got swatted. My wife would probably piss herself, but oh well. Again, you just go with it. Again, it's all, and that's the thing, is it's all perspective. Is it a good story? No. Is it something horrible that happened to you, or is it an interesting story to talk about? Again, like I say, I got beat half to death in Thailand, and it's a story I laugh about. I was sitting there, I was drinking whiskey buckets. Don't drink whiskey buckets in Thailand. Drink some beer. Fuck, even drink whiskey. Just don't drink whiskey buckets. I'm sitting there, drinking my whiskey bucket, really cute girl. Next thing I know, I wake up in a fucking clinic hogtied, shitting myself. But now I can look back and laugh at it. How many people can talk about being beat half to death in Thailand and waking up in a clinic thinking that they were going to get gutted like a fish? But that's a fucking story right there. That's a backstory, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, We're at the hour and 58 minute and 35 second mark, so I guess we'll call it a day. But again, I think the final thing that I would say, like I say, the whole swatting thing and YouTube and freedom of speech. And again, because on YouTube, everybody blathers about freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. And again, as I've said, I served in the military, did some paramilitary stuff, blase, blase, blase. So the one thing I will not tolerate is when people tell me to shut up. Fuck you. I'm an American who has served as an American. I don't know what other rights I get, but the one fucking right I get is the ability to talk. But the one thing that I have to say is with this whole idea with freedom of speech is remember, we talk about willing to die for our freedoms. Freedom isn't free. And I see so many people saying crap like that, but then get scared crapless from swatting or get scared crapless from something else. And all I would say is, if freedom isn't free, saying freedom isn't free, that's not about grabbing a gun and going to some country full of cappuccino people and shooting cappuccino folks. Freedom doesn't cost 10 cappuccino folks for every free white person. It's not how it works, right? If you say, I'm willing to die for my freedoms, that means, slings and arrows and swatting and all that kind of horse shit. You know what I'm saying? Could probably elaborate on that a lot more, but we're at the 2-hour mark, and I swore this time will you keep it to 2 hours? Because again, I could go for 3 hours. I could go for 4 hours. Can you imagine me doing like a 5-hour video? Can you imagine like some 14-year-old clicking on the video and seeing like a 5 hours no cut? You just see the poor little 14-year-old's like brain just melt out their ears. But anyways, is it tomorrow? I'm not sure. I'm not sure when that video of Keemstar gets published. We will see how it goes. But anyways, I will go before we hit the 2-hour and 1 minute mark. So see you folks. Next video. Oh, is it off? Nope.